Well there. Hello. Scott the Sober Heathen here. Glad to be back. Uh, oh, forgot this was on my shoulder. This little fella right here. The camera's not going to let it come in. But anyway, that's for another time. I'm going to do cool things with that, I think. Um, so, right to it. It's kind of impromptu. Not really. I mean, I have pages and pages of notes that I took, things to talk about. But I'm just going to wing it. So, as most people know, I was sentenced for an OWI from August of 2020 on January 3rd of 2023. Just about 46 days ago, I was sentenced. And they gave me 2 months in jail, 4 days of credit, and then with the good time, it was 45 days in jail. And I just got to mention one thing about the 45 days. So many people in jail were like, "Oh, 45 days, that ain't shit," And then I've heard people say, "Oh, I could do a year in the county jail. I could do that standing on my head. I could do that, no problem." And it's like, wow, that's not something to be fucking proud of. A weekend in jail is rough, and a weekend in this jail would be extremely rough, let alone 45 days. If I'm being honest, man, this was a real shithole. And a lot of people will say, well, it's jail. You're not supposed to like it. It's not supposed to be nice. Yeah. I fucking get that shit. But there were a lot of things that went on in here that I thought were completely unnecessary. As far as being an addict, or alcoholic. When I say alcoholic, I mean alcoholic and addict. When I say addict, I mean addict and alcoholic. They're included. I can't speak on, when you hear the word addict, I can't speak on taking pills. I only did that momentarily, so I don't have a lot of experience with that. I have 20 plus years of experience as being a really terrible alcoholic. So, but when I say those words, I get them interchanged because I was in treatment for so long that the words just flow out. So when I say addict, I mean alcoholic too. And if I say alcoholic, I'm both, but I can only truly speak on alcoholism. But anyway, to be either one of those in jail, especially when you have a good start on your recovery, like I feel that I had going in, I was coming up as just a little over, I think it was 8 days shy of 4 months of sobriety since my last relapse. So I celebrated 4 and 5 months in jail. I was doing the podcast before I went in. That's super healthy for me. It's like a video diary, journal, if that's more manly, whatever. And able to go to online AA meetings, able to talk on Facebook with people I went to treatment with, and stay connected, which I've mentioned before in other videos that connection is opposite of addiction. Well, you get into jail, you're surrounded by people that you're supposed to avoid in treatment. You're supposed to avoid people that are still abusing and using. That's another term that people get. Like, oh, abusing. No, it's a negative word. Shut the fuck up. It's a negative experience, so it's okay. You're surrounded by people that just can't wait to get out of jail and continue using their drug of choice. And it's totally unhealthy. In this jail, there was, as far as recovery, I had journaling. I went through 3 notepads of notes and journals, just to try to stay focused on my recovery. They had AA every Saturday, and otherwise that was it. And it was quite the challenge. And jail's supposed to be a punishment. But I'm a lot angrier than I'm representing here, because they call jail and prison corrections a lot of times, corrections facilities. There's no correcting any fucking problems whatsoever when it comes to people who are otherwise good people, non-violent people. that just have an addiction and they have a disease and they're sick and they need help. There's no correcting that. I if anything, was worse off. I got out of jail. I was so excited. I couldn't sleep the last day, and I got out of jail. And then I got home yesterday. I spent some time with some very important people. And then I got to talk to all you important people, not all of you, but a lot of important people in my life. I even got to talk to my kids for 2 hours on the phone last night about baseball and basketball cards. And I got off the phone and cried my eyes out. That's the longest I've talked to them. I mean, that's the longest probably in 2 years that I've talked to them combined on the phone. It's just been just short bursts and text messages because they're hurt and they're scared. So overall, it should have been a good day. Just absolutely exhausted last night, and then today I woke up and I crashed mentally. A lot of crying, laying in my bed, not knowing what to do with myself, not wanting to spend time with my friends. I was exhausted mentally. It's real rough. So uh, nothing gained except for nothing gained by me by being in there. I guess, which, like I said, is kind of the point. But they gained a lot. They get to charge you $1,000 for the days that I was in there, $20 a day rent. So whatever government funding that these places get, they get $20 a day. I mean, that's a decent apartment. That's like $600 a month in rent to stay there. So I should probably just start from the beginning. January 3rd, got up in the morning, went to jail, finally got in front of the judge, talked to the lawyer beforehand. He's a really useless piece of crap. In fact, you'll hear from his cousin. It's a parody, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to make some commercials for the podcast, poking a little fun at the guy at his expense, because you know what, this is an honest podcast. Fuck that dude. Really didn't have anything to say for me when I was in front of the judge. The prosecutor talked as if this happened yesterday, when in actuality it happened in August of 2020. It was 2 years and 4 months prior to this date that this incident happened. And I got to read a statement that I wrote, and it obviously helped because they didn't add probation. They just gave me jail time and a $500 fine plus the fees that come with being in jail. So at the end of the day, for them convicting me of a third offense OWI, my sentence was pretty damn good. So I guess it did help me reading that myself, but the lawyer himself is just, I mean, they're there to get a paycheck if they're court appointed. So, yeah, third OWI, I'm a felon. So no guns and no voting for me until I can find a way to get this expunged off my record. So I have not committed a violent crime in my life, but I am a felon, and here we are. So again, please do not take anything that I say in this as me whining and crying like I'm a victim. I am not a victim. I chose to put the alcohol in my system, knowing full well the things that could happen when I have alcohol in my system. So I am not a victim in this. I deserve everything that I got as far as a sentence. I just believe that the system could be a lot better and actually help people, as opposed to just chewing them up and spitting them out. And as I go through this conversation and tell you about the things I saw in there, yeah, hopefully it shows a picture of why I'm so frustrated, and how it ended when I was leaving that morning just put a cap on everything. The thing that the guard said to me when I was leaving, and on one hand, it's like, who gives a fuck, dude? You never have to see those guys again. But it sums up how they treat people in addiction. They're just crap people. You're scum. You're worthless. That's how almost every single guard treated you in there. Every single inmate. I was in there with a guy who was on his 10th domestic violence charge. And you want to talk about a dude who thought he was a victim, saying they're all bullshit? That dude is the epitome of being completely absent from reality. But anyway, so the judge says 4 to 5 days in jail. I'm going to jail I lean over to my lawyer and I'm like, hey, can you talk with my dad back there? I brought my medications with me. I'm on 5 different medications, for depression, anxiety. I'm on an antipsychotic that because I can't sleep. I can't sleep in the real world. So, imagine how hard it is to sleep on a steel bed with a mat that's that thick. So sleep was at a minimum when I was in there, and I leaned over to the lawyer and I'm like, hey, can you get with my dad and show him where to take the meds? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he never went and talked to my dad at all. So I get taken back. I'm put in a little holding room while court is finishing up, and I'm in this room with this guy who's going back to prison. He's going to be facing federal charges. He's got, and he's just it's like another day at the office for him. I thought it was very strange, but appearances, he was a dude sitting there in glasses. He was clean cut, a well spoken dude. I would have never guessed. He could have told me that he was in there for OWI, drunk in public, something, jaywalking. I would have believed him. So you get processed in, you get taken back, and you have to sit in a holding tank for 24 hours, and you don't get to go to your pod until after 24 hours. So finally, 24 hours, they pull me out of the holding cell and they take me into this room, and it's just you and one guard, and he tells you take all your clothes off. So you get naked in front of this dude. You got to pull up your nut sack and show them that there's nothing tucked under your nuts, and then you got to turn around and squat and cough and make sure there's nothing up your butt. You're not smuggling any drugs in or whatever. I'd like to see the statistics on that and see how many times something falls out of the butt and how many times people have shit taped to their nut sack. Be interesting. Maybe I'll do some research on that. So anyway, they take all your clothes and you throw them in a bag, and they didn't take an inventory of anything. I got my Hugin and Moonin. These represent Odin's ravens for me. Very important to me. They were when I found these and I discovered my spiritual side. These things are very important to me. I was 45 days of worrying that these guys would just take them and throw them, but I got them back, so it's all good. So after they take all your clothes, they give you a top. It's orange if you're not sentenced. It's green if you're already sentenced. So they gave me a green top and a green pair of pants, and that was it. Oh, and they give you some orange Crocs. They give you no undershirt. They give you no underwear, and they give you no socks. So you grab your stuff. You get 2 sheets, 1 blanket, a pad to sleep on. A really thin bar of soap, like 2-use bar of soap if you're actually trying to get clean. They gave me 1 small tube of toothpaste. Smaller than this salt shaker I have sitting here, and a really crappy tiny toothbrush that the bristles come off and get lodged in between your teeth and then left in your mouth after you. But again, that's jail, right? I'm sure that's what a lot of people are thinking. So that's all you get. And so when it comes to what you're wearing, 1 day a week, your uniform, let's call it uniform, get washed. So remember I said they didn't give you anything else like for underwear or undershirts or anything. So if you have nobody on the outside and nobody in jail that is willing to give you something, the only way to get that thing cleaned is to send it out the 1 day a week that they allow it to happen. And they take it at night and they wash it and they bring it back sometime the next morning. So you're going to be sitting naked in jail, essentially, if you want to get that cleaned. There was one dude who stunk so freaking bad. Because he had nothing, he had nobody to be able to send him anything. And he washed his pants one day and he hid in his room until somebody brought him his bag with his pants in it, So, best case scenario, you wrap up in your blanket and walk out and get it. It made no sense to me whatsoever. In Emmett County, when I was in there, they would have a change out day. They would give you a new top and bottom. They actually gave you 1 or 2 pairs of socks, some boxers and a undershirt, one or two undershirts. I don't remember. So you had something to wear underneath them, because think about it. How many dudes had this suit on before me with just their nuts and ass rubbing all over it? And given the amount of stains on the towels, oh, they give you a towel too. Given the amount of stains, unknown stains on the towels and the sheets, I can only imagine. I did not inspect it thoroughly when I put them on, and started thinking about that, because you can't. I mean, I really turned the light on in my cell, because I didn't want to see things that I probably would have seen. So luckily, I have a really great person on the outside that was willing to send me some things to help me be able to change and stay ungross. That one bar of soap, like I said, was like a 2-use thing. And when they do order you stuff from the outside, it's automatically right from go like $5.50. So no matter what you order, they extort you for an additional $5.50 for something that for every item, they pay probably half the cost, or less. So get into the pod, immediately rushed by 3-4 dudes wanting to know why I'm in there, how long I'm in there, like shit that like I've been around enough that they asked my out date, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure yet. Even though I was sentenced, and the ones that were like, well, you're sentenced, right? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not out of here soon enough. And the ones that had been in jail for a minute, they knew what I was saying. I was saying in a polite way, it's none of your fucking business. But guys coming to me right away, oh, you're sentenced. So if people put money on your books, they're automatically going to take half of it. So I'm not sentenced. So if you want, you can have your people put money on my books, and I'll just I'll order the stuff for you. Oh man, yeah, fuck. I have stupid tattooed on my forehead. I will do that. So I ended up being able to switch rooms, and I got up to a single bedroom, which was nice. There were like 3 of them that just had one bed. They're little tiny rooms. It was a pod that had 9 rooms, and I think 3 of the rooms had single beds. I lucked out. It was pretty empty when I got in there, and I got a single bed. The rest had bunk beds, so you could always end up with a partner. Which, man, I don't. All but one partnership that was shared, which was a creepy one that maybe I'll get to. Only one really worked out that wasn't somebody bitching about something all the time. So anyway, I get in the cell, and so meds are coming around, and I talk to the nurse, and I'm like, did you guys get any of my meds? And she's like, what meds? Okay, so you didn't get any meds. So I'm like, can you check and see? My dad had my meds. The lawyer was supposed to get with him to drop them off. And she's like, yeah, we'll go and see. So nothing happened for a couple of days, 3-4 days. And so I ask again, and she's like, oh yeah, it's going to be 2 weeks before you get any of your meds. What pharmacy do you use? We can call and check. So, okay. So told him that where I get my meds filled, it should be an easy call to show that I'm not lying about what I'm on. So a little less than 2 weeks later, about a week and a half, I was like, hey, did you get any news on my meds? Yeah, we might be able to get you your blood pressure medication, which there's actually 2 that I have, but they apparently don't know what all the meds do. So they got me one med, and they said it's going to be another 2 weeks before they get the rest of your meds. Now they said it'll be another 2 weeks before you get the rest of your meds. To me, that's you're going to get all your meds. So, but 2 weeks and 2 weeks is a month, and I'm only in there for 45 days. Long story short, I inquired again with who appeared to be one of the higher up aides that dropped off meds. And she's like, oh, have you talked to Troy yet? And I'm like, who the hell's Troy? Oh, well, obviously not. So the next day I got to go talk to this Troy guy, and this Troy guy informed me that um, none of my meds are allowed. They just don't allow you to have your meds. You have a family doctor. I've been in treatment for basically all of last year, working on my mental health and anxiety and pills, and you just can't have them. The jail can trump your doctor and tell you to straight up fuck off. You're not getting your meds. There was one, they did say that I could have my Prozac, and it never happened. And he showed me the list and showed me where I was on the list. There was no way that I was going to get in to see. After I seen this Troy guy, who they told me that he's the one that would be able to give me the answers, he told me I had to go see somebody else, the doctor, in order to get the okay to even get the Prozac, which they do allow. And I never would have made it. It would have taken at least another month before I could have got in there if I was lucky. So some of these medications you stop abruptly. I didn't do the research because I don't really want to know because I'm pissed off about it. But I know that I had a lot of up and downs in there. I know that my legs were restless; they're shaking all the time. Um, I couldn't sleep, and it was terrible. There are withdrawals from just abruptly stopping some medications. So to make matters worse, the second week I was in there, I get really bad gout, and I get it in my ankle, and then I get it in the ball of my foot. Like normal people get it in their big toe or whatever. I get it in both my ankle and to the point that I could barely walk. I asked every single day for weeks. I wrote a kite. The kite is just you write on a piece of paper your name and what you want, and I'd send it to the nurse and ask for ibuprofen. And I didn't get ibuprofen from the jail until the second or third day before I left. I got ibuprofen from them. Uh, I had to wait for my people on the outside to order it on Wednesday, and then every Friday I could get 4 2-packs of ibuprofen to last me for a week. Now, if you've ever had gout, it's the people that have had it, they get it. But like just a sheet rubbing on your foot kills. The wind, it almost feels like when a cold breeze, it's just throbbing all the time. You can't move it. And remember how I said I had restless leg? So if this is my ankle, okay, and my foot is doing this all freaking night long because it had to be a side effect of my meds, or it's just me not, there's something that I have because I quit drinking. Waking up basically screaming in pain. I mean, it is like there are shards of glass or little tiny pebbles in your joints. It hurts so bad. There was one dude in there that was nice. He would get my tray and bring it to me, so I didn't have to do a lot of walking. But they basically, after he did it for a couple of days, a couple of the guards gave him a bunch of shit. Oh, he can come down here and get it himself. No, you're not doing that anymore. So I just hobble down and make them fucking wait for me to get there. So I would get the 4-packs, thank God. So I'd have, Friday night, I would take it and I would kick in and it would dull the pain a little bit, allow me to sleep a little bit. And then Saturday would be a lot better because I could take 2 in the morning and then 2 at nights. And then Sunday morning, I would take 2 when I got up. And then the rest of the week I had to suffer until Friday. It's just another example of how the jail extorts you. So these 2-packs were 39 cents a piece. Okay. But you had to pay $5.50 to even order them. So you're spending, 39 plus 5.50 just to get ibuprofen to last you for a couple days. They did give me Tylenol twice a day for 3 days in that, but Tylenol, it's not an anti-inflammatory. When my ankle is swollen twice the size of the other one because of the pain, and it's all red and looks bruised from the gout, and then the ball of my foot by my big toe is puffed out to here and bright red from the inflammation on the inside. There's nothing Tylenol is going to do. I mean, I took it because it was better than nothing. It is a mild pain reliever, but it ain't shit. So they extort the fuck out of you when you're in jail. So no meds. The place is disgusting. They look like pubes everywhere, all over the floor. You couldn't get rid of them. To clean your cell, they would bring the same mop bucket every day with diluted bleach. The mop head was disgusting. It was clearly, I know it was the same one used every single day that I was there for 45 days, and I don't anticipate that it was. They probably don't replace it until it's falling apart. So you're just basically smearing shit all over the floor. So I never used it. The rooms, a couple of the rooms in there smelled like piss because in the upper level, there were vents on the floor. And so dudes that had been in there previously would piss in the vent instead of going downstairs and using the urinal. So they'd want the guys that were on the bottom floor. Well, one guy on the bottom floor in particular bitched all the fucking time about it. It's stinking here like pits. It smells like shit. And it's like, you're the one that's talking about it all the time. Maybe wash your ass once in a while, bitch. Anyway, he's a giant. I call him, if I talk about him anymore, I'll probably refer to him as King Baby. Big stupid tattoo on the back of his head. You know, talked about his wife, told her to fuck off and called her stupid, and then said all these terrible things on the phone. Just a worthless human being. But anyway, so they'd come in and they would spray all these bottles. Now, if you know anything about safety, and I'm sure at your workplace when you have cleaning supplies, everything has to be labeled. And my experience with OSHA and construction, none of these bottles are labeled, so you have no idea what the fuck that you actually have. You can smell the bleach or whatever, but we're dumping the guards in the jail are having you dump bleach into the breathing air vents, and something else called Odoban that I need to look into a little bit more. But they're dumb. It goes down to the vents and this liquid just sits there. It's not cleaning the filters that are in there. If they even fucking have filters, I know they have to have filters. That has to be the problem. The urine smell sits in there and then it seeps into the filtration or the filters, and then it just passes it on. You're dumping shit in there. It's not cleaning the vents. These people are fucking dumb. So luckily for me, I was able to get body wash and shampoo and stay clean and get some socks and everything. Clean in there, it's just nasty. The best thing you can do is not think about it. You go in, you take a shower, you get as clean as you can, you change your clothes as much as you can. And, I just stayed in my room, stayed in my lane, if you will. We had, some interesting characters. Got to spend some time with some interesting characters. To give you an example of why jail is not the answer in most cases for non-violent people, there was a guy in there who he had gotten out of jail and then 5 hours later ended up back because he set a dumpster on fire to try to stay warm because he had nowhere to go. And this dude's skinny, you can see his bones. And a lot of these guys that have been there multiple times, they know each other. And so they would take advantage of this guy and trade him things for his food, or they would trade him a tiny scoop of coffee to do stupid shit. This guy, snorting coffee apparently is a big thing. There are a bunch of guys that would snort coffee grounds. And there apparently that's something that's normal in jail. But this guy didn't stop there. They had him snort picante sauce for coffee. Those hot fries that you get, the snack thing, they crushed up one of those and had him snort that as well for things. At first I was annoyed by this dude, because I still have biases that I had before I really understood what addiction was. And that's why I'm not mad at people that have those biases, but because I get it, because that was implanted into me too. But he was not a bad person. He's a person that needs serious help. And that's why I do this podcast. And that's why I'm going to try to get my certs, and I want to get to these people before the fucking system gets to them. So before I left, my last night there, I don't want to use his nickname because I don't want people to know who he is. But I told this guy, I said, "Hey, man, I'll give you my headphones because you get. Oh, I forgot to mention, you get tablets, and I know when people hear that, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's great." It was the only thing that saved me. On these tablets, you have to pay $5 a month, or you can just use the free shit that's on it. I use the free shit that's on it, but thank God, they were a handful of really good podcasts, recovery podcasts. I'm going to email these podcast people. I wrote down their emails from the info, and I'm going to email them and tell them that you saved me in jail. You were the only thing that kept me sane. Uh, that's why I want to do this. Because well, if these guys wouldn't have done these podcasts and had it available on this secure system, I would have had nothing. So this guy, my last day, I said, "Hey, man, I'll give you my headphones because headphones are $15. They're cheap, super cheap pieces of shit." But a guy loaned me a pair, and he got kicked out of the pod and never asked for them back, luckily. So I told this guy that set the dumpster on fire and was snorting shit. I said, "Hey, man, I was leaving at 6 a.m. the following morning." So I went up to him in front of all the guys and I said, "Hey, man, those guys knew I was leaving and he didn't." And I said, "Tomorrow you give me your lunch tray and I'll give you these headphones." I wasn't going to be there for lunch. So, it was a win for him either way. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. What's for lunch tomorrow?" And one day a week you get sausage patties and one biscuit. And he's like, "Oh," well, first he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do it." And then he heard the sausage and the gravy and he's like, "I don't want to." Some of the guys are like, "Come on, man, it's a good deal. You got to do it." And finally he's like, "All right, I'll do it." And so I'm like, "All right, but you got to shake on it, dude. Can't go back on it." So he shook, and then a little while later he came up and he's like, "Hey, man, can I at least have my dessert?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you can have your dessert, man, no problem." And so anyway, at the end of the night, I went up to his cell and I was like, "I get your sausage and gravy, right? You're not backing out of the deal." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm like, "Dude, I'm leaving tomorrow morning." He's like, "Oh." And at first, his first thought was like, I'm telling him I want my headphones back. The deal's off. And he's all sad. And I was like, "No, you can still have the headphones, dude. I'm just not going to be here, man. My plan was just to give them to you anyway." He's like, "What? So I'll get my lunch tray?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, man, I was so worried I was going to be so hungry, and it just a huge smile on his face. Um, I gave him some clothes that were bought for me, and I gave him some. One of the guys that I befriended there, he left me his shampoo because it was dry skin, dry scalp shampoo, and I gave a couple days before I was leaving, I gave that to this dude, and he came up and thanked me after he got out of the shower. He's like, "Thanks, man. That's the first shower that I got, real shower I got to take since I've been here." And just little things like that, you know, um, they're helpful for people like us that are in there. Little acts of kindness, not looking to take advantage of the dude. Um, I all these notes, it was more of me getting things out. I was gonna, say certain things, but I don't think I'm gonna go in any farther on people in there. But it is sad to see. This one guy told me that he was in there because he was behind $1,500 in child support, and that terrified me because being in treatment for almost a year, and the end of the bad times of my disease, I wasn't working. I couldn't work. There's no way. And then the only way to save myself was to go to treatment. And obviously, you're not working there. And so I'm way farther behind than that. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get to the end of this, and they're gonna take me right back to jail for child support. How am I supposed to get out of this?" Well, turns out he was more like $12,000 behind. And so everything, you can't trust anybody in there. not everybody in there is obviously in there coming to get better. There was a guy in there. I will mention this, that, I made it very clear that I was in recovery. 4 days into me being there, two guys got in trouble in my pod for making hooch, which is alcohol. And I expressed my displeasure with that very loudly. That I'm not okay with that. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to beat me up because I'm speaking up about my recovery. Fuck them. Uh, but one of the guys, he came up and he talking about how he uses meth, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, that doesn't do anything to me, man. I can eat, I can sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna get right back out, go do meth because it doesn't cause any problems in my life. Might have been sponsor and heard that, or if I would have been in a different position, I'd be like, for real? So meth has nothing to do with your double-digit domestic violence issues? Cool. Good luck with that. So, I mean, jail has its places, and for it's good for some people who maybe if I would have went to jail for a longer period of time, maybe if my dad wouldn't have bailed me out when they picked me up last March of 2021, maybe I would have dried out a little bit and made a decision. I mean, I made a decision anyway when I got out of there and went back to treatment because I'd already planned to go back to treatment because I just got out of there after 60 days and went right back to drinking. So I don't know if the other thing is too, you got to understand that in Bay County, they have a place that's called TRICAP for addicts. And I had two guys, I gave them the number. The one guy called Harbor Hall where I went to that place. I love that place. It saved my life. And he even had a bed ready for him, and the court wouldn't let him go there. He was signed up for 90 days, but they wanted to make him go to TRICAP because they're in bed with this company. So it's like, oh, well, we have to send you here because these are our people. And that's really fucking dumb. There's changes that need to be made. So, I might as well say something that was absolutely disgusting, but relatively funny. This guy came in and I nicknamed him Lizard. Didn't call him that to his face, but in my notes, Lizard. He obviously had some severe mental situations going on, and he needed to be somewhere else and not in a fucking jail cell again. But still, people in there, fuck them, they're just scum. And I can verify that by what the guard said when I left, and that's coming up here in a second. But this guy, he'd sit there and just. That's why I called him Lizard. He actually said that he has lizard tongue. But he had some sort of Tourette's or whatever. He'd watch TV and then he would interject himself in the conversations with the characters on TV. He used the N word a lot when black people appeared on TV. And it's like, man, I know why they moved this dude into our pod because we're a lot more laid back in there. That I was grateful that I was in the pod of non-troublemakers. This same dude, before he got moved into our pod, he was at the AA meeting, my second to last AA meeting, and he just talked the entire time while people were sharing. Luckily, I recognized that he had an issue, but I was still really fucking irritated. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. This is my 1 hour a week. You know what I mean? But so this dude got moved into our pod, and at 11:30 during the week and 12:30 on the weekends, that's lockdown time. They'll come over to the speaker and say, "Hey, lockdown." Dude went to his room and he had to piss, and he just assumed the doors were locked. He didn't even try the door to go out and use the urinal. So he decided that it was a good idea to piss in his one towel that they gave him. But he obviously didn't piss in just his towel. All his clothes reeked like piss. His entire room reeked like piss. And his answer, or his way of remedying this is he stuck his clothes in the shower for, I think he was holding them in there for like 15 seconds, and then hung his pissed smelling clothes on the handrails, the stairs that go up and down in the pod. And he said he didn't know, he just assumed the doors were locked. So yeah, I feel more bad for him now than anything. But It was very, very interesting. Very interesting people um, in this place. A lot of people that need help. Um, so, I mean, I think that I really covered that. In the moments of writing these notes, I was a lot angrier. I was a lot more of a dick while I was in there because I was just angry. I was angry at myself. I was trying to place blame to make myself feel better, and looking at this now, I was overreacting in a lot of situations, but they did not correct anything. I guess that's my point. Jail is not the answer for people that are actually working on their recovery, and it's really sad to see people being taken off their meds just because the sheriff or whoever makes the decisions in that jail decides that they're not going to give you your meds. There's ways around that. They do it in treatment all the time. Guys in treatment want to gum their shit and sell it just as much as they do in jail, but somehow in treatment they make it work. But these lazy motherfuckers that are guards who come in with their nose up in the air, and they talk down to everybody. And so when I was leaving in the morning, I was ready at 4:30 in the morning, and they don't call your name till 6. And so they finally called my name, and I grabbed my stuff, and I'm limping a lot less because it's time to get the fuck out of there. And 2 guards came, and the one said, "Oh, you're walking a lot better now that you're going home." I'm like, "Hell yeah, man! Ibuprofen's just right around the corner, dude. I just need to get out of here." And the other guard says to me, "Ibuprofen." He's like, "You mean crack?" And he didn't say it as a joke. The intent was, "You mean crack because everybody in here does crack and you're just a worthless fucking crack fiend?" Only thing that I was able to get out of my mouth, while I was restraining myself from just dropping the fucking tote and saying, "What the fuck is your problem, dude?" But you got to remember, you get good time, and that's the only reason why I'm getting out at 45 days as opposed to 56 days. You can't because they will use. One guy mouthed off one time that was in our pod to the biggest dick guard of them all, and they took him to the hole, which is you're sleeping on just a concrete slab. I don't even believe that you have a mat. Maybe you do, but there's no phone, no TV, just nothing. And they said they were putting him in there for the remainder of his stay, which I don't know if that's legal or not. I don't know what the limitations are, but you just don't do it. So the only thing I said to this guy, I was like, "Crack, I've never fucking done crack in my life, man. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm not going to do that either." And then I didn't say another word at him, and his last name was Albright, and I don't give a fuck if I'm saying his name on my podcast or not. He was obviously younger than me by appearance. But officer or guard or whatever your title is, Albright, you're a piece of shit. And I hope you live forever. So that's that's pretty much the jail stay, man. I don't drink, I don't go back right now. As far as the law things go for me, I can be off probation by October. With a new law, your probation can get cut in half if you fulfill all the requirements and don't fuck up. I have the scram still on my ankle until about April sometime, which is cool to get that off. I'm interested to see how I handle that. What kind of games the disease tries to play on me. In jail, I had quite a few drinking dreams, but it wasn't the act of drinking. It would be the dream would start where I realized that I fucked up the night before and drank, and I was trying to figure out what the hell happened. Where my vehicle was. I was walking around town in Coleman or places, and then I was immediately trying to lie and say, "No, I didn't drink," even though I knew I drank. It was crazy. I never picked up a bottle and physically drank in my dream, but I would wake up as if it just happened. So the disease was working to play some games with me. So I wanted I don't know what I expected from this podcast other than just to give kind of an informative thing, man. Um, I know a lot of people, and I know that I've thought it too. And when I was younger, just fuck them, throw them in jail. That'll learn them good. It doesn't do anything. It takes people away from the people that can help them. It takes it puts people in a position where they owe money that they can't pay, and that just puts them right back in the system. And my counselor from Harbor Hall, he left the court system because he was sick and tired of seeing people getting chewed up and spit out. So he recognized it, and now more than ever, I have more respect from this guy. He's making a lot less money, but he's doing a lot, something that's a lot more important than sitting in jail and not giving a fuck about solving the actual problem, which is the addiction. If you're nonviolent, I mean, if you violate somebody else's rights and freedoms, well, then yeah, you deserve to be in jail. If you have 10 domestic violence convictions, then that means you're involving other people and physically hurting other people. But if you're just somebody that gets drunk and disorderlies, I am not advocating for drunk driving. It's very dangerous and very stupid. I'm an idiot. Okay, the full disclosure, my blood alcohol content from this infraction of August 2020 was 0.36. I was passed out in the turn lane. That is extremely dangerous and stupid, completely irresponsible, and I deserved the punishment for putting people in the community at risk and putting the people that I love the most through that. And I am deeply sorry, and to those that I love, and extremely appreciative at the same time for those that are still by my side and supporting me today. I love you. I love all of you. And my goal for this podcast is to keep doing it, keep speaking as much truth as I can, sharing my side of it, not telling people what to do, but tell people what I've done and where I'm going. And I have, 5 months and a week of sobriety. This is the longest I've ever been sober from alcohol. Granted, I have this thing on my ankle. I understand that. And a lot of people say, well, that's the only reason why you're doing that. They might think that. I don't care what they fucking think. I don't give a fuck anymore. I can't worry about what other people think. I just have to do what I do. And I have to show through my actions that I'm making changes. And I know now more than ever, after my kids talking to me for 2 hours on the phone last night, after not really wanting to talk to dad at all because of the choices that I've made, that what I'm doing is helping me. And that's not selfish in addiction. You take care of you, and everything else will come in mind. If I don't take care of myself, if I'm not true to myself, if I'm not seeing my self-worth, then if I don't like myself, how the fuck can I expect anybody else to like me? So I have to like myself. I have to be proud of the steps that I am taking. And in the AA, they say progress, not perfection. So if I'm doing at least something today to improve myself, and that's all I get done. If mentally I can't do it, like, most of the day today I spent crying, and I spent some time talking with my grandmother about some difficult things, and then I just lay down and I took a nap. I had to in early recovery, which I'm still in early recovery. Napping and sleeping is extremely important. So if you know somebody that is going through addiction and it's been 5-6 months and all you do is sleep, that might be them being lazy, but it also might mean that they need the time, they need the break, the mental break, dude. Your mind is going. It's like, for me, I'm 41 years old, and I thought about this in jail. Like, I feel like I'm going to be in my 50s in no time. That seems like it's just right around the fucking corner. And when I thought of this, I had like a week left in my jail sentence, and that week felt like an eternity. Thinking about getting a job and catching up on child support and furthering my education so that I can do more for people in addiction feels so far away. But in reality, it's just a couple years away. if I get going on it and I sign up for it and I work hard like I know I can and do what I know I can do, it's 2 years away. But it seems like it's Pluto. But my mind, the way my mind thinks, 59 years from now, thinking about like, being at retirement age, whatever that is now, I think it's 104. That seems like it's going to happen in a couple days. And that's what my mind tries to tell me. It's like, yeah, dude, you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to make up with your kids. Your kids are going to graduate and they're going to move on with their lives. And you're going to miss out on all the kids stuff. No, they got 8 fucking years before they graduate. And I know that, but my mind won't let me focus on that. It won't let me see it. That's the irrationality, and not just addicts have that, but in addicts, that's a key cause of continuing to use. My mind still tells me that the answer to not have to worry about this and think about this is to pick up another bottle and down that fucker, and that will take care of it. That is the solution. That is a solution to not feel. And as I posted earlier today on one of the posts, something that I heard, when you quit drinking and you're in recovery, you feel better. Okay, so you take that statement as it is. You do feel better. You don't feel sluggish. You're not puking and dry heaving. It's not restless sleep. You don't have all the physical ailments that come along. I'm not pouring sweat. I'm not bloated as a fucking fat blob. The physical part gets away. So yeah, you feel better, but you also feel better. You feel anger better. You feel sadness better. You feel anxiety better. You feel all these things better. Whether that's grammatically correct or not, it doesn't matter. You get the point. So you have to learn how to deal with these things as you're going. You have to find a way, another outlet that isn't at the bottom of a bottle. And the longer I go in sobriety, yes, I still feel those things, but the feeling of good and pride. I've had this chip before. This is a 5-month chip. I've had it before, and it was a lie because I drank. And I remember picking this chip up and holding on to it and trying to pretend on how proud I was, but inside it was a lie. This time I got out of jail, and a very special person gave me this 5-month chip, and I could have cried because it's fucking real this time. This is a real chip. I did this. You will feel better, and the better will be more gooder than it was before. So you just got to fight, man. And coming up in what I'm going to call season 2, I want to help. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if we've never talked before. My number is on the Facebook page. I got to get to work on my website and make that better. And I don't care who you are. Let's just talk. I can tell you my story. And even if it doesn't help, it'll help me. In AA, talking with other alcoholics helps you more than it helps them. And it's the truth. Just talking to another alcoholic. It's a good reminder for the person that's in recovery, and the person that is struggling might hear something that they need to hear. So if you're in recovery, keep talking. If you're in the middle of addiction right now, take that super brave, awesome, badass step and ask for help. So if you listen to the whole thing, man, love you a long time. You have some really cool podcasts coming up. They're going to be like, it might sound like I'm lecturing, but it's not a lecture. It's some really cool ideas, I think, on how to explain certain things that I've learned, and I think they're going to be really good. I'm going to be a little confident here and say I know they're going to be really good. And I think even people who aren't in addiction, I think you're going to enjoy it. I really do. So it's Dr. Pepper time, dudes. I'm quite parched. Again, thank you for listening. And that belt I had over my shoulder, there'll be more information coming on that in the future. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be something that has to do with these things. And it's going to be something where we'll be able to maybe celebrate somebody with some serious recovery. Maybe I gave it away already. But anyway, thank you. Love you all. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do the lame shit. Go to YouTube, like, comment on the videos. I'm going to turn the comments on the other videos. Subscribe on YouTube. That's the way to make this thing grow. And there'll be some more avenues where you can help out, and future fundraisers coming. And you guys have a great night. We'll catch you on the other side.